Hello! In this series I'm going to be going over budget premium decks that you can build for about $50, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. And within each deck I will be giving you different upgrades you can do. And the goal of this is to give you a good start with the clan. So get you as many good staples as you need, but still have it able to compete. If in a deck you see vanilla crits or heals, instant upgrade you can do is the premium collection crits or the heal guardians, which for the premium collection crits they're getting reprinted in the next premium collection, so you can wait till then to get them whenever they're under $1 each. So yeah, with all that being said, let's hop into it. We're going to start with Keter Sanctuary decks, and our first deck is going to be Angel Feather. Now with Angel Feather, it's kind of hard because a lot of the shrines are super expensive and the V stuff has gotten pretty expensive since the deck is meta in V. But there's still some stuff you can do with just pure premium Gabriel. So first, we run the original Gabriel. This deck is going to be more focused around defensive plays because every time a card goes into your damage zone, your front row gets plus 2k. So you have a few cards that rescue check during the opponent's turn, so then you can gain a bunch of defensive power during the opponent's turn. This is going to be more of a grind type of deck instead of an aggressive deck. So we want cards that help us survive longer and make it really hard for the opponent to try to kill us. So we run the Premium Collection Stride Boss Assail. So on GB3, whenever you stride into it, you lose at 7, so like Greedon. But then if you have 5 or more in your G zone face up, then you lose at 8 instead of 7. So the whole goal is to try to get to this as fast as possible. And then our second skill is also really good. CB4 until end of turn when the opponent would guard. It's a multi-card guard restrict depending on the number of cards in your damage zone. So if you have 5 cards in damage zone, then if your opponent wants to guard something, they have to guard with 5 or more cards, basically. This is how you will try to end the game, is being able to do this multiple times. So helping you get there, your first stride will usually be Eden, being able to flip up G units quicker and then also gaining rescue checks. So you drive check basically 4 times in one turn, and it also enables multi-attack. So in the main deck, we have cards like Jafkael and Salafiel to enable you to get rescue checks early on and be able to try to pressure the opponent a bit more. We also run Nurse of Broken Heart, so whenever you take damage or move cards around in your damage zone, then Gabriel and Nurse of Broken Heart will just pump your front row up super hard, so every card that goes in there, they get 4k, and if you have 2 Broken Hearts, then 6k. So pretty quickly, you can start gaining a lot more defensive power. On the more defensive side, we have the grade 3 per durable Phoenix. So whenever your Vanguard's attacked, you can pop it to guard with something from your damage zone and then put the top card of your damage zone face down. So if you have Gabriel on your Vanguard, then you become base 13 doing it and then also get a free guard. And then if you have Nurse of Broken Heart, more power, so on and so forth. Then you have the original No-CL, so whenever you guard with it, put a card from your hand into damage and then put a card from your damage to your hand. So it procs Gabriel. For our Sentinel, we're doing Remnon, so whenever you guard with it, you can Camlust 1. If you have another copy of her in your damage zone, you can do 1 rescue check, so you heal 1 and take 1. And doing all these rescue checks, you will probably hit a trigger at some point, so defensively you'll be able to gain even more power whenever you do. So yeah, that's the basic premise. Upgrades you should look to do. First, Hamiel. Giving Hamiel all your rescue checks is super powerful because she's just insanely hard to guard. She's why Angel Feather is meta in V Premium right now. Then you can probably look into V Gabriel. She will basically work the same as G Gabriel, but a lot higher offensive power early and basically no defensive power, but you're also base 12. Then in your G zone, you can add in Seraph Gabriel, basically just 5 drive checks, and Sariel, which is the G flipper, so it makes it easier to get to 5 face up for Boss Assail. Next up we have Genesis and Fenrir. So this is basically what Fenrir loop was, but without the loop. So the whole idea is to ride up to Fenrir, get a Force 2 marker, and put it on rear guard, and then stride into Amaruta, and then on the Force 2 marker, put Kazanda down. So Kazanda is Act Soul Blast 2, gain plus 10. And this isn't once per turn, so you can keep doing it. your entire goal basically is to Amaruta Aphros, be able to get it to restand with Sentinel Restrict, and then it'll also be probably like an 80k triple crit swinger. You run a bunch of cards that soul charge a lot, so you run Grappa and Valencia, so whenever you soul blast them, you soul charge 2. You run Gelja, so if your Vanguard's Fenrir, you can move it from soul to the bottom and soul charge 2. Now we run Vanagander and Secret Elsie for the Denial Griffin play, so it helps you survive a little bit easier throughout the game. This deck is super high roll. You can basically never play the grind game with it because you're constantly soul charging your entire deck to be able to do Kazanda multiple times and then do Amaruta Soul Blast 15. So an instant upgrade you should look into is Dreaming Dragon. Whenever Dreaming Dragon is played at the end of the turn, you get to shuffle your entire drop zone back into your deck. So it helps save you from decking out. And then the other upgrade is Glepnia, which Glepnia is getting reprinted in the next clan collection, so you don't need to worry about picking it up immediately. It will give you a way to access your entire deck and add another thing to your hand since you're soul charging so much. Next we have Gold Paladin, and we are using Garmour for this. Garmour is basically a call loop deck where you try to chain call as much as you can, and you use Cloudwing Eagle, so whenever you play a unit, it gets plus 5k. So you can very easily get this thing to gain at bare minimum 30k just by calling 6 units, which this deck can do a lot more. So you run things that will call stuff whenever they're played, so Garmour will call whenever you ride it, Kahaiden on play calls, Coel can call during your main phase also, and then you have cards that call whenever they're played from deck or by an ability. So we have things like Interlude Angel, whenever you call it, you move it to soul and call the top card. We have Catch Goal, where whenever you call it from deck, you put it to the bottom, check top 3, and then call 1. And then we have Dex Goal. Whenever you play it on rearguard from deck, you can look at top 3, call 1. So yeah, that's basically the whole idea, is to be able to call a gajillion times for your Eagle to gain a bunch of power. And if you have multiple Eagles in play, it becomes a lot more disgusting. In your G-Zone, you run the Garmour Stride. This will basically just give you an extra way to call without needing to commit anything from your hand initially. And then we run Brambant, so on attack you bot back 2 rear guards, and then draw 2, call 2, and then it gains a crit. So it allows your Eagle to be able to gain more power during the battle phase. And then since we run Catch Goal, then we can stand our Cloudwing Eagle and have them multi-attack, basically. And since we are going through our deck so much, it's pretty likely we will see the Catch Goal, or OT even. Now the only upgrade that I think is necessary is trying to get Spear Axe, because Spear Axe allows you to call 2 things during your main phase. So it's like the Garmour Stride, but a little bit better. And yeah, if you want to see more of how this deck works, TIE Fighter did a video of it over a year ago, so it's a little outdated, but you can see his thought process throughout the whole thing. And he'll explain it a lot more on how it plays out. So yeah, for Oracle Think Tank, we are going to be doing Magus. So the whole idea is to stride into Momo, which is a restander, and call Fusili Magus, which gives your Vanguard a drive for the turn. So Momo, if you proc the Magus once on it, then it'll be 4 drive check into 2 drive check, while also giving your entire front row 30k. The more of that Magus you have, the more drive checks you'll get throughout the turn. We also run Silent Tom combined with Ichigashima for the unguardable attack. And that's basically the whole gimmick. You run Tetramagus and Rectangle Magus to try to stack your deck a little bit easier. Grade 3 searchers, you need Fusili Magus. And then G-Guards, you have 2 of the Battle Sister G-Guard. It's just really solid to be able to stack your deck how you need to and hit a damage trigger easier. Amaterasu is just a big shield. The main upgrade you want to look to do for this deck is put in Magical Kaliko and Amaterasu's, because having that combined, whenever you go into your Momo turn, you can Calico, reveal 3 Amaterasu, and then your Momo will gain 30k and 3 crit. And then combined with the Magus extra drive checks, it's going to be a really hard-hitting turn where you will kill people doing that first stride. And then there's Wakure Hime and Kamususano just as niche strides whenever you need them in specific situations, but they're not too important. It's mostly Calico and Amaterasu that you really need. So next is Royal Paladin. I'm gonna have to say this is probably the worst deck on here. You should probably build blasters. It was just hard for the context of this video because I wanted it around $50, and blasters for some reason is like 70 to build, which isn't too bad. So if you have like 70, 80 bucks to blow, build blasters. But if you have like $50 to blow, you could build Brave Alt Mile. Now, if you don't know, you have Brave if you have 3 or less cards in your hand, which, like, okay, that isn't too hard to really do, but a lot of the cards are pretty jank and don't do a whole lot, so we're gonna try to make this work. Our win con is Immortal Holy Sword Fetus. You can count last one, flip up a G unit, and until end of the turn, if your opponent has only 1 Guardian, the attacks of your units with the Brave ability will hit regardless of power. So if your Brave unit is like 15k to the 13k, they have to 2-card guard it to be able to block it. And then his second effect is GB4, so you have to, it'll be your second stride win con. On attack, if you have a heart with Alt Mile in its name, search your deck for 3 cards and call them. Which, like, that part isn't that bad. You just have to be in Brave for it. So Fetus is like a really good card, just in a bad mechanic. So we run the Trial Deck Alt Mile in V series. It just gives a force marker, and it also can be a giant beater, while also being able to filter your deck for grade 2s you need. And then we run the last Brave Alt Mile because it's a 16k 2-crit beater. And then you can also search for Brave units off it. We run Suleiman for multi-attack, and then the main card in the deck is Electos. So at the start of your battle phase, you can count last one, move him to Soul, draw 1, and all your Brave abilities are active during your turn, so you don't need to be at 3 or less hand to be able to do all your Brave effects. I would have like 3 or 4 of him in here, but he's like a $5 card, which is insane. Then we run Septgol and Ascanius. You reveal Alt Miles from your hand and then search for a 7k power Brave unit. All your targets for those are Phylax, which just gives your things resist. Damascus, at the end of the turn, draws you a card and countercharges. And then probably the star of the show is Big Sword Angel. If you're in Brave, then on attack, he gets plus 5k for each card your opponent has more than you. And in this current premium format, a lot of decks can get a really big hand. So like Nightmare Doll, they'll usually have like a 15-card hand or something like that. So if you're in Brave, the Big Sword Angel is just a big beater. So yeah, that's basically it. If you want to upgrade this list specifically, more Electos is your #1 priority. You can also use the Alt Mile strides of Aeol Divine Knight and Transcending the Heavens. They give you like a nice vanilla turn core if you're like not set up for your Fetus turns. There's Saint of Twin Sword, which is a really big finisher for the deck. There's the new Aerial Alt Mile, but if you're gonna do him, you should probably build your deck more around him, which is like V Alt Mile plus. And if you were to get him, you would also probably need to get Crystal Lusters, which they are $40 stride. For the last of Keter Sanctuary, we have Luard and Shadow Paladin. Revival Collection and Clan Collection did Luard really well. You can basically build a really competitive Luard deck for about 100, and most of that is coming from like very niche strides. This list uses Dragfall Luard since he's the only one that's not expensive. The more grade 1s you have in drop, you can get free strides. And then your main stride is Morfessa, which you only really need Morfessa to be able to do all of your plays. So Morfessa will count your trigger units as grade 1s during the turn, and then you get to draw more cards and search for more pieces. And then the big 15k and a crit to your front row if you're at Ritual 10, which combined with some multi-attack engines, you'll be able to like put insane pressure on your opponent. And you can get this thing off on your first stride pretty frequently. So we run Dagda to be able to multi-attack a lot easier and make the Morfessa turn a lot scarier. We run Nemain to be able to search out your grade 1s, and you run Dumphood and Blaster Dart to be able to get your grade 2 rad guaranteed with the Nemain in your opening hand. Now, a lot of lists run Blue Espada Dragon. This list can not really afford Blue Espada because it's like a $6-7 card, but they did get a promo that looks a lot like it, named Ramon. Acts during your turn, you can count last one, retire it, check top 5, and then mill any grade 1s into the drop, and then you give your Vanguard plus 10. This is like a hyper mill. It's a Blue Espada, but for a counterblast, you get 1 extra grade 1 from itself, and then you check 2 more cards to be able to mill more. And then you run Leofall to be able to search out specific grade 1s you need. Cursed Eye Raven to be able to cycle through your deck. The main upgrades you want to look to do are Phantom Blast of Diablos, like #1 priority. in matchups where your opponent destroys the field or they all have resist, so like Regalia, Nightmare Doll, Grand Blue, Phantom Blast, or Diablo can just be like an auto win button. You can also throw an Abyssal Owl to have an extra target for your domains. And then there's Ogma. You really don't need Ogma. No one ever goes into it because it's pretty costly. And then you can also try to pivot into having Dragheart Luoids in there, or the V Luoids in there. But keeping the core of the stack of Dragfall being your main unit, then that's really all you need extra to be able to upgrade this. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully I was able to help you guys get started in the premium. All the people I mentioned in the video, their videos to their specific lists will be in the description. If you liked what I did, like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one.